Welcome, everyone. Get ready because today's explainer is tackling something that's absolutely wild. It's ambitious, it's fiercely independent, and honestly, the execution is just fascinating. We're going to be looking at an entirely new AI-generated superhero ecosystem called the Aetherverse. It was created by a channel called Motive Remix TV. And what we're exploring today is how a solitary creator is using digital tools to build this sprawling cinematic universe completely from scratch. But here's the kicker. They're doing it in tiny, bite-sized fragments entirely independently. So we're going to unpack the lore, the power scales, the poetry, and the brilliant blueprint behind the whole shebang. Okay, let's dive into this by looking directly at how the channel defines itself. This is their actual bio. Aetherverse, AI Cinematic Shorts, a new universe in 20 seconds. One lore drop every day. Not Marvel, but the future. I mean, wow. Just let that last sentence sink in for a second. Not Marvel, but the future. That perfectly establishes the massive David versus Goliath challenger mindset at the very core of this project. They aren't trying to just squeeze into some existing comic book empire. They're actively declaring themselves the next evolution of one. To get a grip on how this universe is being built, here's our roadmap. 1. Aetherverse, the new universe. 2. The geometry of defiance. 3. Scaling the power gods. 4. The fall of doom. And 5. 20-second storytelling. Section 1. Aetherverse, the new universe, the micro-format revolution. 20. Traditionally, if you think about world building in cinema or comic books, it takes massive 2-hour films or these sprawling graphic novels, right? But the Aetherverse flips that entirely on its head. This entire universe is being constructed piece by piece in incredibly rapid 20-second daily lore drops. It's a totally radical shift in how we consume complex narratives. It literally demands that you, the viewer, piece the puzzle together day by day, just 20 seconds at a time. And you might be wondering, who is actually behind this massive undertaking? Well, Motive Remix TV is operating with just 155 subscribers and 76 videos. So this isn't some massive corporate studio with $1 billion budget, you know? It's an emerging, independent creator leveraging AI cinematic shorts. And by committing to these daily lore drops, they're generating a really consistent, persistent presence. It's such a fascinating case study in how modern digital tools allow a single vision to step up and challenge established legacy entertainment empires on a completely different playing field. Which brings us to Section 2, the geometry of defiance, focusing on the poetic anchors within this chaotic digital world. And this brilliantly illustrates what makes the Aetherverse so unexpected. Because let's be honest, you might expect an AI superhero channel to just be, well, mindless action. But instead, the creator layers in this incredibly deep, philosophical poetry. They state, the friction of existence is just a test to find the kinetic potential in the chest. And in the broader source material, this is surrounded by these intense lines about gravity trying to anchor their feet to the dust, promises of iron turning to rust, and learning the geometry of how to defy beneath a collapsed sky. It really shows how the lore prioritizes these grand themes of overcoming overwhelming hardship to discover an inner explosive kinetic power. The storytelling is also totally boundless and multilingual. In the video Mi Propio Talismán, the lore declares, Con la fuerza de un volcán, yo soy mi propio talismán. That translates to having the force of a volcano and being one's own talisman. The surrounding lore even mentions the veil of the mind breaking and being the center of the storm. So by utilizing different languages in this profound, almost mythical poetry, the creator is giving this 20-second universe a real sense of ancient, global weight. But the creator also knows exactly how to lean heavily into the esoteric and the mysterious. Take the character Thorax, for instance. The video is tagged with phrases like #transforming the world by his love. And the entire transcript for this character's video, it's simply this single Kannada character, ha. That is literally it. It's a perfect example of leaving white space in the world building. It forces us as the audience to stop, wonder, and try to decode the mysteries of this universe completely for ourselves. Let's move into Section 3, Scaling the Power Gods, where we meet the New York Ether God. So, the crucial point here is how the Aetherverse establishes the sheer magnitude of its characters. To do that, you kind of have to benchmark against the greats, right? The sources give us a really direct, hard numbers comparison. On one side, you have the ultimate traditional icon, Superman, whose feat is described as lifting planes. But then on the other side, you have Vortex, the New York Aether God. Vortex doesn't just lift things, he controls entire cities and realities. The lore explicitly states he is 10 times stronger than Superman. It's such a bold, immediate way to establish the dizzying power scale of the Aetherverse. Now let's look at Section 4, the Fall of Doom. This is where we uncover a very specific challenger motif running through the channel. We see a whole roster of new Aetherverse heroes: Quantum, Rage Titan, and Arcane Sovereign. And who are they fighting in these epic mystical tech battles? Dr. Doom, a massive legacy comic book villain. And the outcome every single time? Aetherverse destroys Doom. Over and over again. Quantum destroys Doom. Rage Titan destroys Doom. Arcane Sovereign destroys Doom. So, defeating Dr. Doom isn't just a fun battle within the narrative. It's a massive thematic statement by the creator. Think about it. By repeatedly and aggressively pitting their brand new AI-generated characters against one of the most famous villains of the traditional comic book era and having the new heroes utterly crush him every single time, the Aetherverse is actively visualizing its mission statement. It's overthrowing the old guard. It's quite literally a digital rebellion played out through superhero combat. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, 20-second storytelling. Let's examine the creator's actual blueprint. The channel utilizes a really highly structured content strategy that's based almost entirely on video length. At the 11-second mark, we get rapid-fire hero intros and quick skirmishes, like Vortex in action. At 21 seconds, we get the epic boss fights, like those ones against Dr. Doom we just talked about. Then at around the 1-minute mark, they drop epic music tracks to set the overall mood of the universe. And finally, it all culminates in these massive 7-minute deep dives, videos literally titled Aetherverse, The Rise of a New Legend, and Lore Explained. So the bite-sized pieces are the hooks, but they eventually build a much larger cohesive structure. Let's move to how this all builds into a highly repeatable formula. Step 1. You drop a highly visual 20-second AI cinematic short just to grab attention. Step 2, you elevate that short by layering it with epic music and those incredibly deep, poetic, sometimes multilingual transcripts we discussed. Step 3, you do it again tomorrow. You just expand the universe incrementally every single day, keeping the audience engaged in this continuous drip feed of lore. It is an incredibly efficient engine for independent storytelling. So what should you really take away from all this? Why does any of this matter? Because the Aetherverse represents an entirely new frontier. We are watching the democratization of cinematic world-building happen in real time. It proves that you don't actually need a massive studio backlot to create a universe that feels expansive and intricate. By using AI tools, structured microformats, and this really cool poetic challenger mindset, complex narrative ecosystems can now be built by anyone, anywhere, in rapid succession. With these daily 20-second lore drops actively reshaping traditional superhero power scales and challenging huge legacy brands, is the Aetherverse the true future of cinematic storytelling? Can this decentralized, rapid-fire method actually eventually overtake the old guard? It is a truly fascinating evolution of media, and I highly encourage you to think about how these fragmented micro-universes might just be the blueprint for the stories of tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep your eyes open to the digital frontier.